Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of FS Uncut. I am your host, Coach Kojo, also a free midfield, and I'm here with my guest. First, I'm going to introduce my brother from the FS team, Mr. Dan, Liverpool fan. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. And you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm feeling like Champions League. That's what I'm feeling like.
Not as good as Premier League champions, is it?
We're not talking about that today, sir. Uh, and our other guest he's been here before, and we're very happy to have him here again since his team is still in the Premier League. I mean, if they go for the game, we'll still have you here anyway, but it is what it is. Mr. Daniel Raza, how are you, sir?
I'm good, Kojo. I might not have been accepting invitations if we'd have got relegated. I'm not going to lie, from anywhere. I might not have been accepting any invitations out of my house. But it is what it is. We're up. We're staying up. So we're playing you guys next season.
Yes, you are. Up the villains. Hopefully we will have your captain on our side, but we're going to get to that. Right, so let's start on Villa first. So, of course, staying up on the final day, what were your emotions going into the game?
It was crazy. I don't even lie to you when I'm telling you I felt sick. I was sick all day. Just nerves, just stomach. Because I wasn't expecting us to take it to the last day. We had a 4-game run where suddenly we just started playing like we should have done all season. And Watford shot themselves in the foot. Bournemouth weren't getting results. And here we are on the final day. And you're thinking, well, we're in the driving seat. But when Villa are in the driving seat, you kind of worry, will their focus kind of drop? Will we give that performance against West Ham? I had worries in my head whether Everton were actually going to turn up against Bournemouth. I was worried that Arsenal might not turn up against Watford. But lo and behold, man, the game started and it felt like a cup final again. No stranger to this kind of pressure. Villa have been in 2 playoff finals in the last 2 seasons. So, I mean, this Prem or no Prem situation, I'm used to it now.
Good. And of course, I know you stayed up as well. So we're going to talk about, obviously, your key man, the captain, the leader. Some might even call him a legend as well in the Villa time, which is, of course, Mr. Jack Grealish. He scored on the day and he performed like a monster. So I'm going to ask Mr. Dan Liverpool, what is your opinion of Grealish now that the season's over? Because obviously a lot of people have linked him with different clubs. They've picked him up as a player that is usually in comparison with like your Madisons and your Mount, saying that he's a top player, English international. But what's your opinion on Mr. Jack Grealish?
In my personal opinion, out of Mount, Grealish, and Madison, Grealish is the best. He's a wonderful player. Ball at his feet. It's hard to get off him. I think he might miss out on PFA Team of the Year, which I think will be a robbery because I think he's a shoo-in. What he did this season is one of the best one-man jobs I've ever seen in the Premier League. Unbelievable. Almost every game, it was as if the plan was pass the ball to Grealish and let's see what he can do. He was just amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I hope, well, Dan might not like me saying this, but I hope he gets a move this year so I can see him play in the Champions League, play against the big boys, because I don't know how he hasn't made the England team. I think he should have been in there a long time ago. And I think the only way that he might make it now is if he leaves Villa, which shouldn't be the case, but that's how it looks like.
How do you feel about that?
I mean, that's a systematic issue. Whether or not he's playing for Villa, he should be playing for England.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
This is the thing.
100%.
I think what's happened is due to the inflation of player prices over the last few years, and the big teams only have themselves to blame. Like, teams like Villa are going to keep a hold of their big players unless a lot of money comes in, right? And I think for Jack, it's a difficult situation for him because now his boyhood club is up. He's got to choose between his boyhood club and Champions League football. Can Jack play Champions League football? Yeah, definitely. But I was having this conversation with one of my friends today, and you look at a team like Manchester United. Well, Jack would have to go there and fight. Like, he'd have to really fight to be in that team. What you forget about Jack, though, is that he's more than just a winger. He's more than just an attacking midfielder. He's great off the ball. He draws fouls in. He's a fantastic player. I want to see him at Villa, but and if not, it has to be a lot of money that comes in. Because look, Palace have done a master job with Wilfried Zaha over the last few years. They haven't just let him go at the first sign of a bid. And Villa needs to behave like that, really.
I explained that. So with that Grealish being spoken about, other than him, because the focus is usually always on him in a way. Do you feel like there's an unsung hero in your team that deserves a lot of praise this season as well for what they've done?
Oh yeah, since the restart, Douglas Luiz. Oh, Douglas Luiz is quality. He's been our best player since the restart. Not Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish is a great player. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But since the restart, Douglas Luiz has been Villa's best player, and I think you'll find a lot of Villa fans that agree with you. Like, I have not seen a defensive midfielder that good at Villa. I would say like ever. Like in my time as a Villa fan.
Okay.
In my time as a Villa fan, I've never seen somebody cut the lines like that and play make like that from such a deep role. Jack, up until that game, he'd gone like 15, 16 games without scoring. He wasn't great. He wasn't in great form. And Douglas Luiz really won us games on his own, I think. Not won us games on his own necessarily, but, got us points on his own. So I'd say Douglas Luiz has definitely been an unsung hero. Also, I want to also just give a shout out to some of the young lads in defense as well, like Ezri Konsa coming in his first Premier League season under tremendous amounts of pressure since the restart again. And he's done a great job as well, just being solid at the back and being forced to play out of position as well for large parts of it. And also, another one I'll say is John McGinn coming back from injury and basically having to run his socks off since the restart. So there's unsung heroes there. But Douglas Luiz, if Jack Grealish goes, right, keep Douglas Luiz. That is the number one rule I have for Villa now. If Jack Grealish goes, keep Douglas Luiz. We need him.
Do you think you can get him permanently since he's on a loan deal from City, right? And the way he does play, he's not on loan?
He's not on loan. So Man City have like a buyback option.
Right.
I think they've got like first refusal at £30 million or something like that.
Right.
So there is a situation where City turn around and go, we want Douglas. There's £30 million. And I'm not sure if it means that Villa definitely have to give him like that.
Okay.
So yeah, he's not on loan. He's a Villa player.
So he's your player. That's perfect then. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, because honestly, I'm gonna go lie to you. I was watching him play, and because in my head I had him on loan from City this whole time. I was thinking, this guy keeps getting better and looks like he's just gonna fit straight into their system. And that's another player with another problem for my club watching the other side. God, because they have guys like that, and we have some guys. I'm not gonna get into it. It's not the time. All right. Okay.
You have good players, man. You have good players.
We do. Fernandes, my guy. All right. So we're gonna get on to Dan Liverpool now. Player of the year. Now, obviously, there's been a lot of noise, noise per se, because your captain, Mr. Jordan Henderson, won the Football Writers Player of the Year, which is voted for by the journalists and so on and so forth. But we're talking about right now just the Player of the Year. The player that has stood out the most this season for you, I guess, contributed the most to their team. So, who would be your candidate for the player of the year voted for by the professionals within the game?
For me, it's a no-brainer. It has to be Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne, he's the best player in the Premier League. If you ask anyone that knows anything about football, apart from journalists, obviously, they'll tell you Kevin De Bruyne is the best player in there. And I don't think people understand how complete he is. He can drop deep, get the ball from the defense, start attacks. He can run through with his pace and power through midfield. He can switch the ball. He can shoot. He can pass. He can cross. He's just been amazing every game. And then to equal Henry's record, which has been there for 17 years? Yeah. That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. For me, it's a no-brainer. If he doesn't get it, then I'll start believing the Liverpool bias.
What if Man City won this year though?
League Cup?
League Cup? Yeah. League Cup. They beat Villa in the final.
Fair enough.
And no, they lost the FA Cup semi-final to Arsenal. Ooh.
They did.
Hang on, I was thinking that for a second. I was thinking, am I wrong? No, Man City didn't beat us in the final, did they?
The League Cup final.
League Cup final, they beat you.
Was it Man City? It was Man City. Okay.
Yeah, it was Man City. Yeah, it was Man City. And I was thinking about FA Cup. I was thinking maybe they have another one, the chance to win two, but they lost to Arsenal. But they are still in the Champions League, so there is still something to fight for.
But you ask what City won. Like, obviously, I'm a Liverpool supporter and I love our players. But when Salah won the PFA, we didn't win anything. But he just had an outstanding season. Mm-hmm. And growing up when I've been watching football, PFA Player of the Year goes to the best player, doesn't go to the best player on the winning team. That's just how I see these awards. And for me, he's been the best player.
I agree.
Personally.
And that Daniel Raza, do you agree with him, as in Kevin De Bruyne, or is there someone that, apart from the obvious, is there someone else that you think doesn't get the accolades that they deserve for this season?
Sure, I don't know. Like, I think I understand where pundits come from with Jordan Henderson. I totally get it. Like, Liverpool have, they've had to have a tremendous mentality to maintain what they did all season. I mean, up until the last few games where they've basically just been chilling, but vibing. But I think up until then, like, I can understand why Jordan Henderson's been given that. Was he the best player all season though? Kevin De Bruyne, he smashed it. Was it 13 goals and 20 assists? It's crazy. And he's that player. And I can't think of many other players in the Premier League where your team lines up against them and you think, I am scared. I'd say Kevin De Bruyne and maybe Bruno Fernandes. But other than that, I don't think there's anybody else out there who I think, damn, I'm scared. Like KDB, I think as well has had the best like chances created in a season for ages as well.
Yeah.
Like, is it every 21 minutes? Something crazy like that is a chance created?
Something nuts.
Insane, yeah.
He's a machine. KDB is the player of the year. Full stop for me.
I understand. Do you think he's going to go down as a, well, I don't think so. I think it's a no-brainer for this one, but do you think he's going to go down as a Premier League great?
Yeah,
100%.
he already is one.
Yeah,
For me, 100%.
That's
100%.
Honestly, that's simple. Honestly, my shout is Bruno Fernandes. Anyway,
maybe next season though, Bruno Fernandes. Like since January, if Bruno Fernandes has been playing since the summer, then he'd actually be in with a shout.
Yeah,
potentially.
Yeah, and he's got to be fair to his credit, even though he has stunk in the last couple of games, he's still been some goals and assistance. So
yeah,
to be fair to him, he has still found a way to contribute, and that's what you want from your players. Like, so for example, Kevin De Bruyne, even when he's not having his best day, he has that quality to make something happen.
Exactly.
So very important. Let's go to the young players now. What's the age limit here? Because I know in football now they have under 23s, but 23 is not. It's not a kid for me anymore.
So the age limit is if you started the season, if you're 23 when the season starts, you're eligible.
Then you qualify. Yeah.
So Jack Grealish, I think he's 24, but he qualifies for young player of the year.
Because he was 23 when it
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Then we'll start with Daniel Raza first. Young player of the year. Is there anyone?
Jack Grealish is older than me, man.
Is there anyone that you thought has, as a young player, that's really impressed you this year? Maybe one. It could be more than one, to be honest.
No, I think it's. I'd go Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think he's had a fantastic season. Obviously at right back, and he's had to fill in and do a great role there. Like, I think coming from a Champions League season as well, it's very easy for a defensive player, especially to like kind of capitulate the next season. But I think he's shown like great maturity, and I think what he's done in that Liverpool side again, it's been a brilliant defensive effort from that Liverpool team again. I'd probably go with Trent Alexander-Arnold. I know it's not the popular choice to go with a to go with a fullback. The whole Jamie Carragher quote: "Nobody grows up wanting to be a fullback," but
no one wants to be Gary Neville.
Exactly. So I'd give it Trent Alexander-Arnold. I mean, Jack Grealish is in with a shout if he's in the age limit as well, because without him, Villa wouldn't have stayed up. So he's done a great job as well. But I'll probably go Trent.
And to be fair to Trent as well, he did break his own record from assists from a fullback as well. So to be fair, I saw there was a list, and Antonio Valencia was there. And I was trying to cook up an agenda, but I thought, was that the year he was right back or right mid? And he was bloody right mid, so don't count. Dan, your young player of the year.
Yeah, for me, it has to be Trent. I'm not just saying that because I'm a Liverpool
Are you sure?
support. I'm 100% sure. But this season, he's been incredible. His defensive work gets criticized, but in my personal opinion, I think it's blown out of proportion. I don't think he's as bad defensively as what people say. Obviously, when you have Wan-Bissaka in Manchester United, doing what he does week in, week out, people can get onto Trent. But he's still a young player learning his trade as a defender. But I think the way he starts attack for us is so underrated. Not just his crosses, just those little passes into midfield that breaks the press and gets us on our way. He's been doing that all season, and he's been one of the reasons why we've got 99 points. If it doesn't go to him, the only other two players I'd want to see win it are either Marcus Rashford and Jack Grealish. Because like we said earlier on, Jack Grealish has been amazing. And so has Marcus Rashford. There was a point where Marcus Rashford carried United on his back. That's because the season's been so long, and people forget, I think it was between October and January, Marcus Rashford was United's main player. So I think if he wins it, if him or Jack Grealish win it, I wouldn't mind. But for me, it has to be Trent Alexander-Arnold.
The irony of what you just said is, the fact is that, remember, Marcus Rashford did actually get a back injury as well. So,
Kojo, what do you think of Rashford though? Like, he often gets forgotten about. Like, I think people always rave about like Sancho and Grealish and Maddison and that kind of thing, but Rashford's almost kind of just expected to be doing well at United. Like, he gets forgotten about. Like, his maturity's amazing for his age.
I think it's because, like, with some players, because he's been around a while now, we tend to forget that he's still quite young. So, you know, he's been around the first team since Van Gaal, which is almost 5 years ago now.
That's mental.
Yeah,
that's a long time.
He burst onto the scene in the Europa League, and then his debut game against Arsenal, he put them away. You know, so you know, he's always been around, and I think there's this thing in football where it's like these other young guys, because they maybe had like 2 or 3 years in the Premier League compared to 5 or 6 with Rashford, they tend to forget that Rashford is still under 23. He's still a young guy. He's still got a long way in to go in the game, and he's still got a lot to improve on. He's nowhere near the finished product, you know. So they tend to forget these things. But this season, he has been electric for us, and I feel like without the backing, we would have been seeing a lot. He's done well since we come back, but I think we're still even a lot more because he's a lot less sharp than he was. Obviously, been injured. Everyone was a lot as well, so that adds on top of it. But I'm happy with him, and I enjoy watching him. And I feel like he's trying to add more to his game, even though right now I just want to score goals and be happy. I don't want to do like sitting back deep and trying to play passes from deep, even though he can do it. But yeah, I love the boy. And I love the fact that we've got Mason Greenwood coming on the other side as well. So it's so far so good.
I don't think he's been that bad since the restart, if I'm being honest. Like, obviously, like when you have Bruno, Greenwood, and Martial scoring goals, people will get onto Rashford. But if you actually watch him play, those passes he does in between the fullback and the centre-back are amazing. Like, he gets shot in behind on Martial so many times that I think that's an underrated trait for Marcus Rashford. Obviously, his finishing could improve, but we can say that about a lot of wingers. Raheem Sterling is one of the best wingers in the world, but his finishing could still improve at the age of 25. So I think at the moment, if anyone is criticizing Marcus Rashford, I think they're being a bit too harsh. I think even if Sancho comes, he's starting 100%. He's not getting dropped, in my opinion. He can't get dropped. He has to start.
Absolutely not. All right, so we've spoken about the best player and best young player. We're gonna do best signings now. Now, I'll ask Dan Razov first because his team has made a lot of signings this season.
Made a lot.
You know. And Liverpool, not so much. I mean, Adrian, Minamino. Is anyone else I'm thinking that I'm missing out?
Harvey Elliott, if that counts.
Yeah, okay, yeah, he's a signing. He's not a first team player yet, so we can put him a bit to the side for now. But let's start with Villa first. Who would be your signing of the season for your club before we go into the whole broader Premier League?
No, it's Douglas. I got to go back to Douglas. Okay. I have to go back to Douglas. Like without Douglas, that midfield is just lacking. It's just lacking that defensive edge. We've got Nakamba, does a decent job of running around, breaking up play, but he's not got the same kind of technique as Douglas. It's the same with McGinn. You know, he does a great job of running around, and he can bring the ball forward. You guys can see my parrots there. Sorry about that.
Oh, right.
That's my parrots.
Honestly, I thought pigeons just came through your window. I was like,
they're my birds.
All right, okay.
Fair play.
But getting back to my analysis, Douglas Luiz is the best signing. I've already given you what I think of him. But yeah, I mean, for the money they paid for him as well, Villa. Like, we've got a Brazil under-23 captain somebody who's on the verge of playing in the Brazilian international team. That's not even mentioning Wesley, who was at one point. But yes, Douglas Luiz easily.
Okay, Douglas Luiz, and then your signing of the season in the Premier League as well.
Bruno Fernandes.
Oh, thank you, man.
I'm gonna go Bruno Fernandes.
Okay.
Because I think without Bruno Fernandes, United don't get Champions League. And I think when you look at some of those teams, so Liverpool, they really didn't have to change much. Man City really didn't have to change much. Both those sides could have walked into this season with exactly the same team, no problem, finish first and second.
Yeah.
Right. Manchester United, though, with Bruno Fernandes, for me, they've now gone from a fighting for Champions League side to a fighting for the title side, because he's that number 10 I think that United have needed for years. Years.
Okay.
And yeah, so for me, it's got to be Bruno.
Okay. Dan, I guess I'll ask you about Broder, because I guess Minamino hasn't settled properly yet. I'm going to give him some time. And Adrian had a bit of a run, but of course, no one takes over Alisson, who alongside Oblak and Ter Stegen for me, and De Gea. I lie. Those three are the best keepers in the world for me right now. That's as simple as it gets. But who is, in terms of looking at the Premier League, who would be your signing of the season?
It has to be Fernandes. Has to be.
Fernandes.
Since he's come, he's absolutely transformed Manchester United. Him playing in that number 10 role is fantastic because it allows Pogba to dictate from deep, and Pogba can do what he does. Because I felt like before Bruno was there, the media, United fans expected Pogba to be Superman. But now that Bruno is in the squad, he can do everything in the final third. I think almost every game he's either scoring or assisting. Like you said, the last couple of games, I'll say since from Palace till the end of the season, he wasn't that great. However, he still contributed with either a goal or an assist. For example, that Rashford goal against Palace, United were just playing side to side, slow passes. As soon as it comes to him, round the corner. And those passes are so key because defenders have to react. And once they react, space is created. So that's what he adds to United. I do feel I'll have to disagree with Dan. Me personally, not because I hate United, but I just don't feel United are title challengers yet. Because for me, one thing I think Bruno has to improve on is I think sometimes he might be a bit too wasteful with possession. I get that you want to try risky passes, but sometimes it's not on. I think once he perfects that, United are clear. Like they will close the gap.
Don't get me wrong. I don't think they're going to walk into next season and win the title.
Oh.
But it gives them a base now, right?
Oh yeah.
Now it means in the summer, United only need to look at a couple of positions, really.
True.
You know what I mean?
True.
So,
I mean, for me, that's the one thing that I've been, there's always been this thing about unlock Pogba, right? Like he's some sort of WWE character on the game that they cover in all black, and then when you unlock him, you find the guy, right? But what it is about Bruno is that he's another creative outlet, and now it allows Pogba, who's able to create from deep and in front, to give the ball to someone that's also he's not as creative from deep, but Bruno in front of, or just behind the front three rather, is a danger, and he's got a good record scoring from range as well. And there's another thing that we haven't been doing a lot of. You know how football fans are. This is the era of stats, so they run to stats, and he's got a 70% passing completion, all that nonsense. But like you said, he likes to take risks. Sometimes it doesn't pull off. A lot of the time, it doesn't pull off. But at least we've got someone there that's finally doing that, and that's what needed. So, and even to an extent, like with how good Liverpool are, they're still talking about adding a creative player. I mean, Keita is a creative player, and he's very good at it. But because he hasn't settled like in a crazy way, the way that they wanted him to, they feel like they still need to add someone else. But that's the whole point. You want dangers from all around the pitch. You want your team to be dangerous in all areas. So he's good. Good start. Hopefully we can improve on him.
He's annoying too. Like he wins penalties that you shouldn't get.
I was actually waiting for that. When you said ends with cons, I thought you were going to mention it.
Honestly, that okay. I'll say this live. I'll say this proper. Yeah. We didn't deserve that penalty at all. But the game is the game.
The game's the game. You know who I think deserves an honourable mention? Danny Ings. He's this season amazing. Like before he came to Liverpool, like he had that potential to be a good striker, but unfortunately he got an injury, came back, got an injury again. So to get 2 consecutive injuries is not can set a player back. But this season he's been electric, fantastic striker. I feel I think he should be England's second striker behind Kane because Vardy has retired from international football. But I think when national football comes back, he's a shoo-in in the England squad because he's been amazing. I wouldn't mind him back at Liverpool, me personally.
Oh, that would be a good shout. That would be a good
Personally.
shout. Don't do it though, but that would be a good shout.
Why do you think so Jamie Vardy won top Golden Boot, didn't he?
Yeah.
Why do you think he's not involved in this conversation? Because obviously he's scored the most goals at the end of the day.
Oh, you mean for the England conversation?
No, the conversation in terms of we're talking about signings now, aren't we? Sorry.
Oh no, but you mean in terms of the best player?
Best player of the year, yeah, that kind of thing. Because I know talking about Danny Ings and that kind of thing, he's had a lot of plaudits.
That's a good point. I don't know.
For me personally, I think it's probably because he's streaky. Because when Vardy scores, he goes on a run. But when he doesn't score, he also goes on a run of not scoring. So I think
that's isn't it?
8 or 9 games without scoring. And I also feel like some players are a victim of their own success. So we've seen Vardy before, so he's not getting as much plaudits as he should be. Because I fully agree with you. Finishing top scorer, that's an unbelievable feat. He should be getting spoken about a lot more. But I think because we've seen Vardy do it before, people don't really speak about him that much, which is very unfortunate.
No, it's fair.
We will give him his flowers here because his first season in the Premier League, he scored about 4 or 5 Premier League goals. But ever since then, he's been scoring at a crazy rate. To get to 100 so quickly, we have to give him credit where credit's due. I think it's very fair to give him the flowers. Now, my favorite question. I love this question. The biggest flop of the year. I've got many candidates. Now, this is not restricted, by the way, to transfers. I'm not restricted to transfers, by the way.
Oh, okay. So any player.
Yeah, you can go for anyone you want to at this point.
Oh, right? That's tough.
Biggest flop of the year. You can do it by whether you expected a lot of them or whether you just thought they were just absolutely appalling. If it's easier for you to go by transfers, you can do it that way as well. I'm not going to restrict you towards that. But who should I go for first? The dance. I feel like doing ip dip do, but that's too long. I'm gonna go for Dan Raza.
All right, man. I think this one's difficult. You could look at Joe Linton. Yes. Newcastle paid a lot of money for him.
Yeah.
Didn't score a lot of goals, man.
Yep.
Not enough. To be fair. So look at him. I expected more from Sebastian Haller, but I feel bad kind of calling him a flop. Villa had their fair share. We had loads, but it's whether or not you decide. Danny Drinkwater, for example. But I didn't expect him to kind of do that well.
Yeah.
One I feel quite bad for, really sorry for, is Jesse Lingard. He finished the entire season without a goal or assist, didn't he?
He scored on the last day.
He did, yeah, that's it. Yeah, apart from that,
They gave it all of this,
yeah, apart from that. But I felt bad for him as well. So I'd probably go Lingard or Joe Linton. I feel bad calling anybody a flop, really.
Yeah.
I think that the thing is, there's something to improve on for next season. So
that's true.
That's it.
Okay. Dan?
For me, number one has to be, I don't care what anyone says, Nicolas Pepe. Has to be
really?
Him. Oh, 100%. Because if, I wish I took screenshots and bookmarked tweets, pundit opinion things. When Arsenal did their signings, did their business, they were expected to finish top 4. Don't let Arsenal fans come and lie to you. They were expected to finish top 4. They finished 8th. That's not good enough. He was 72 million. I think in the league he scored about 6 or 5 goals. Not good enough as well. And there was a lot of performances where he just wasn't good. He just wasn't good enough. Obviously, it's harsh to pin the price tag on him, but if you're paying £72 million on somebody, you expect instant success. So he's definitely one. The next one for me is Moise Kean. For me, I expected a lot. I expected a lot more from him. For me, when I look at Everton's lineup, I don't expect him to see him in the start because I think Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison are that much ahead of him. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he leaves the Premier League this year because I don't think he's been good. And the third one, Mike might not like this, but for me, David De Gea, he's like when people watch this, they might think I'm being harsh, but he's an elite goalkeeper. He's an elite football player. For me, for many years, he was the best player in the Prem because he was arguably one of the few players that was undisputed number one in the position. But earlier on, when Mike was naming his top 3 goalkeepers, De Gea wasn't there. And there's a reason for that. And the thing is, this wasn't just a Chelsea game. This has been happening since the start of the season. For me personally, this has been happening since the Sevilla game in the Champions League when Ben Yedder scored.
We don't need to talk about that.
but if we're focusing on this season, it started as early as the Crystal Palace game at Old Trafford, the Van Aanholt goal, near post, a reoccurring problem with De Gea. So for me, those 3 players are my flops of the season.
I think I can't disagree with De Gea. It is painful for me to say, but it's the truth. When you expect so much from a top goalkeeper and he's not performing to the level that you expect of him, it's very credible to give him that kind of tag.
He's better off with better defenders, though, don't you think, Kojo? Like, there's been a lot of mistakes from like Harry Maguire. There's been mistakes from the defenders in front of him. It puts him under pressure.
Bro, if I start speaking about Harry Maguire, we'll be here for another hour. Trust me. I don't wanna start. If I start, I won't stop. I promise you. And I'm hosting. This is not. I can't. Not right now. Not right now. Maybe one day.
I think that's a. Sorry, go on.
No. So I said if FootySays does a show specifically on Harry Maguire, then yes, you can have me here by myself for an hour recording it and tell you about Harry Maguire, and I'll leave it there.
Dan, I think that's a brilliant point, but Kojo will agree with me. In 17-18, even though United had probably a better defensive record, as a defensive unit, United were worse.
Yeah, they were shocking.
They conceded a lot more clear-cut chances, and David De Gea saved United a lot of times. So
sure.
That's the pedestal we put him on. For example, games against Arsenal, Spurs last season, Liverpool, I think was it 14-15 when we had so many clear-cut chances. So David De Gea is used to having bad defenses in front of him, but he's just been making silly errors like Sar's goal against United for Watford.
Oh.
If you don't remember it, watch it back. Simple catch, he's letting it go in. Like, this is a top goalkeeper. Like, for me, you shouldn't be making those mistakes as a top goalkeeper.
Has he been as much of a flop as Kepa, though? Like, Kepa's been pretty poor this season as well.
No, I have tried my best to defend him because
a lot of
defending is
shocking.
It's appalling. But they paid, what was the release?
72 mil, I think.
So the same as pay.
Yeah.
And the mistakes he makes, I can't defend him. I didn't do it anymore. It's really bad. It's really bad. He's probably had the worst season, in my opinion. And Joe Linton were in my mind. Because Joe Linton, again, players don't choose their fees, but I'm sorry. If you are paying 40 million for a striker, you need to score more than 2 Premier League goals. That's as simple as it gets for me.
You know what's mad though? Like some of these strikers that teams like bashed money on, they didn't even have like amazing goal scoring records. No, Joe Linton, the first one, didn't, right? Yeah, and you mentioned Moise Kean as well. Dan, he wasn't banging him in at Juventus.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, you're right.
It wasn't, you're right. Even Haller wasn't the key man. It was Jovic. That was
Jovic, yeah.
But they played well as a 2. But if he doesn't score goals and then you bring him in as the 1, how do you think it's going to work?
Agreed.
But, you know, that's Premier League for you.
Yeah, he never played up top on his own.
Yeah, well, exactly. So, honestly,
if I'm mentioning fees, Ndombele has to be there as well. Like, I do get onto Jose for not playing him, but him not being fit, that's his own personal issue. Like, as much as people might want to get onto Jose might play negative football, that might not fit his style. He is not fit. And for me, that's shocking. You cannot be a professional footballer and not be fit. It's your job to be fit. So he also has to be put up there as well.
Yeah. I remember he came off about 20 minutes off the bench in one game. I think they drew it or they lost. And after 15 minutes, you could see the guy was exhausted. And I was just looking at him, I was thinking, see, this is why he doesn't play you. Because he can't trust you from the beginning of the game. If you're tired in 15 minutes, let alone 60, you'll die. You'll be done. So
Not a Jose team.
yeah. Well, you gotta work hard to use these teams, isn't it? We learned that. Well, I learned that hard. I learned that the hard way. All
So,
right.
Mike, you wouldn't put Maguire in your flops?
I'm trying not. If I put him in,
man.
if I put him in, like I said, we're gonna be here a while. Trust me. I don't want to start. Let's just not do it. Okay. Right. I'll ask you one more, and I might add one more in there if just a little bit of time left, just to throw it in there quickly. Okay. It was your manager of the season. Now, obviously, Jurgen Klopp has won the Premier League. Chris Wilder is another one that gets shout out because Sheffield United, were not expected to be where they were come the start of the season. I'm going to try and put those two to the side. Is there anyone else that you think deserves some plaudits? In my mind, the person that I was going to give plaudits to was Ralph Hasenhüttl, simply because when they lost 9-0 to Leicester, I'm not going to lie to you, I was first in line to say, get this guy the hell out. But to reorganize your team, to get your team playing again, and they recorded more points since that loss than Leicester. So he got them playing. He got Danny Ings back on form, scoring goals, and Che Adams has finally found some bit of form as well. It's towards the end, but he's found some confidence, scoring goals, big results. So that's for me. But we'll start with Dan Liverpool.
I agree with Ralph Hasenhüttl. Anyone who knows me knows how much I love him. I love him so much that when Klopp leaves, he's my number one target, honestly speaking. Okay. I rate him that highly. For me, when they lost 9-0, I didn't think he should have gotten sacked, purely because I'm not going to pretend like I watch Southampton every week. That's a lie. But I watched them when they played the big teams. When they played Liverpool, before Mane scored, they battered us. Absolutely battered us. And I was thinking, this is a team with not that many quality players playing like this. This is impressive. Against Chelsea, when they lost 4-2, when it was 2-1, Southampton missed 2 or 3 clear-cut chances that if they scored that, it's a different game. And then against United, when they drew 1-0, they were brilliant there as well. So you could see that he had a plan, he had an idea, and the players bought into it. So I think he's there. But for me, the manager of the season, Nuno Espirito Santo. I think that guy is amazing. I think, honestly speaking, like, people say we didn't expect Sheffield United to be where they were, and I fully agree with that. But Nuno has come straight for the championship and finished top 7 twice in a row. That's unbelievable. And they started playing in July, and I think he only uses about 15 or 16 of his squad. So to put in those levels of performances week in, week out, I think he deserves it.
Okay. And Daniel Rosa?
So firstly, I agree and disagree with you on two separate things here, right? So Ralph Hasenhüttl, also one of my favorite managers, just because, but even pre like that 9-0, when he first came in, Southampton were poor side, like relegation fodder, basically, right?
Yeah.
But he got them working hard, and that's why he works for Liverpool. Gegenpress, man. But I really, really like Hasenhüttl. His side just shows a lot of spirit. Like, he's a shoo-in for a Watford job one day. Do you know what I mean? But like I can see why he'd go there. But with Nuno, I just think if we're comparing now Nuno and Chris Wilder, if we're comparing Nuno and Chris Wilder did this on a shoestring. Nuno got a lot of help in terms of transfers. I don't want to say Wolves bought success. That's not what I'm saying. They invested in the right ways. Yeah. But I think that's more of a whole club thing. I think Wilder, what he did with the players that he had, the kind of seasons that guys like Chris Basham have had as well. Like, he's masterminded it, Chris Wilder. So I think, unfortunately, the fact that Sheffield United did end up finishing 9th, for me, just kind of makes me edge towards Jurgen Klopp. They were so close to getting that record tally as well. I just think that what Jurgen Klopp's instilled in that Liverpool side, the way that they managed to dominate this season by such a clear margin, and to do that ahead of Manchester City, who are one of the greatest squads assembled in Premier League history. I think that's why I go Jurgen Klopp in the end. Wilder did a tremendous job, don't get me wrong, but it has to be Klopp for me. Just because of what Liverpool have achieved this season. I would say it was a shoo-in if Liverpool had performed a little bit better in the last few weeks, but season was one, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. Unfortunately. Okay. All right. I think we can wrap it up there. Yeah, we'll wrap it up there. All right. So thank you guys again for joining me on this today. It was really good. Daniel, it's been a pleasure to have you again. What for staying up this season.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. I'm just glad we get to play you guys next season, and I'm glad, you owe us a lot more money. That's the main thing. You've been paying like half. Like, you've been giving us like cut price for Jack Grealish.
we'll try and give you about. To be honest, I don't trust anyone. We're going to game. Enjoy him next season. I think you guys will be good, and hopefully you're brought back Dean Smith, who's a good coach. I think he's a good coach. So.
No, I agree. Thanks, man. I genuinely think you're going to be title challengers next season. I'm not even taking the piss. From an outside perspective, the young players that you've got, and you want to invest in Sancho. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's mad. Like, no offense to Liverpool. Liverpool will be up there.
Of course.
But I think so will United next season.
Yes, I hope so. If they're not, then you guys won't find me here next time. And of course, Daniel, my FootySays brother. Thank you again for joining us again. Hopefully next season you guys finish second or below. Right. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. This has been another episode of FS Uncut. Have a good day. Peace.